What's good, everybody? It's Batman, and today we're going to be doing a Naruto reaction. We're going to be checking out NCHAMMER 23, one of the GOATs. He's doing his thing. He grows and grows every single day. You guys should already know who he is, but he has about 600 and some thousand subs. He's definitely making a nice little living. Check him out. Make sure to, he has a bunch of other YouTube channels as well, TikToks, and social medias. He even apparently has Twitch as well. So, yeah, well, again, just check out all his stuff. You'd be surprised what he got. And you'll probably enjoy and have a blast with it. He has a bunch of other accounts as well. He has the Weeb Commander, whatever that is. There's like 300 something. Goddamn. He has apparently he has a gaming channel as well, about 22,000. I know how that feels, brother. And tell you, man, it's like Naruto and all the anime stuff. That shit'll pop off for your channel or go hard. But when it comes to gaming, bro, that's hard, man. Gaming's hard. It really is. Unless you started really early in gaming, it's almost impossible to pop off with that shit, But anyways, we're gonna be getting into this. So you guys, as I said before, make sure to check him out, subscribe, give him all the love, you name it. Let's get it. Let's do this shit. Here we go. And we're about to watch this bad boy real quick. Here we go. Here we go. All right, here we go.
Talk about the tailed beasts. It's Sunday, which means it's time for Nick to explain some things. But at this point, I shouldn't have to explain to you that you should have already liked this video, subscribed to this page, and hit that noti bell.
Me as well.
Like me talking about anime, well, I do it 3 times a week. So before we get cracking in the specifics of each tailed beast's personalities, powers, all of these kinds of things, let's crack into a little bit of their history. Essentially, everything started with Kaguya and Nishiki. Ten-tails are essentially the seeds to divine trees that, when fed in Otsutsuki, will grow and bear a chakra fruit after consuming the entirety of the chakra in the genetic material on a planet. Kaguya then fed what we either assume to be a random Otsutsuki or the bottom half of Ishiki. To hear more about that, you can check out this video right here, where I explained the entire history of the Otsutsukis to the Ten-tails in order to grow a divine tree. That divine tree then proceeded to grow and take the chakra from anything that got close to it, getting kind of a bad rap, but some people started to worship it.
Kaguya, and I'm slacking on the intro, but this is about all of Tailed Beast explained, by the way. So I was actually very interested in it because, when it comes to the Tailed Beast, there's a lot of misconceptions about them, and people don't really understand them that well either. So it's always intriguing to see people kind of do scaling videos or just lore on it. So that's why we're kind of checking this out. And we're going to put Mr. NCHAMMER's knowledge to the test and see how he does with the Tailed Beast. So here we go. Now, if it's obviously lore related and all that stuff, whatever, I'm not really going to try to fact check or, try to pull the debunk card or anything like that. I have to do my homework myself. I've seen it so many times, but there's a lot of information with it. And I definitely don't have a photographic memory, so for all I know, I could be tripping or not memorizing things correctly. I know a good amount, but not everything, right? So I'm not really going to go too hard on that, but if it's anything major that I obviously need to respond or say or whatever, obviously I will. But
falls in love, gets kidnapped in front of her husband, kills all the people who kidnap her because she was an Otsutsuki, overcompensates because he gets freaked out, eats the chakra fruit of the divine tree, and then puts everyone in infinite Tsukiyomi. But she found out that Tenji, her husband, actually knocked her up before he got put in infinite Tsukiyomi. She has 2 sons. They're born with chakra. She's pissed about that, tries to absorb them. They're not all about that. So in order to absorb them, she takes in the divine tree and becomes the Ten-tails again. Hagoromo Hamura defeat her in a battle, essentially seal her on the moon, and then put the demonic statue of the Outer Path, which is the husk of the Ten-tails, on the moon with her. But in order to accomplish this, Hagoromo had to pull all of the chakra of the Ten-tails out of the Ten-tails, which left the Geto statue.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen Kaguya's origin story in so long, and it's anime only, by the way. But I have not seen that in so long, bro. I'm just going with what he's saying. That does sound right, though, but he could maybe be wrong. I don't know. But
or the husk of the Ten-tails, and then put that inside of himself, essentially becoming the world's first Jinchuriki. This gave him a massive amount of power and also easily allowed him to spread Ninshu, which was the progenitor of ninjutsu around the world. But time comes for us all, and eventually Hagoromo's old and dying. So Ashura, his son, comes up to him and says, "Hey dad, you have this thing called creation of all things jutsu, which allows you to literally create whatever you want. You should use that to split up the chakra inside of you into 9 individual beasts, and we'll call them tailed beasts. This way, if Grandma, Kaguya, breaks out of the moon, little foreshadowing there, she'll have to collect all 9 of these 9 tails. It'll be much more difficult for her to get all of this chakra back." Hagoromo says, "Bet, good idea," and then at that moment pulls the Ten-tails chakra out of himself and uses creation of all things jutsu in order order to make the nine-tailed beasts. But on top of making sure that Kaguya never gets all 9 of them back together, the tailed beasts were also made for another purpose. The tailed beasts were made in order to spread positivity and unity between everyone.
Yep.
This would be done by giving certain areas.
I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Tailed
The tailed beasts are basically like some like pets, basically. Like, here you go, have a pet, you know, like a pet, you know, that can make you feel better and get along and be in harmony and peace. Like I forgot what they're called, bro. It's like an emotional support, you know, type dog or whatever. That's basically what it is in a sense. You know, that's what you try to do, but epically fails. Like, those motherfuckers over here going on rampages, killing humans, hating them, you name it. And rightfully so, because the humans are fucking pieces of shit. But it's just hilarious, that the irony.
Beasts as these massive wells of power, that way they can focus on not warring with each other, something that Hagoromo was very passionate about. And in the anime, it's even seen that the followers of Hagoromo built 9 temples around the world that were to house each and every single one of the tailed beasts. But Hagoromo, being a smart guy, told the tailed beasts that one day you will come back together, and not for the reasons that we want, but somebody will show you what true power is. Guess who that somebody is? Naruto. Prior to the reconvening that Naruto was kind of a part of in the war arc, we had someone prior to that who accidentally followed the doctrine of Hagoromo without even really knowing. Hashirama Senju went around and hoping to spread peace between nations, caught every single tailed beast with his wood release, and then handed them out to respective nations. This is more or less what Hagoromo said the tailed beasts were created to do, but Hashirama did it forcefully, not with their willing consent. Okay,
Yep.
So we've done the history of how the tailed beasts were created and what they were created to do. So let's start talking about the specific tailed beasts. There feels like a very logical way to do this. We're gonna start with the 1-tailed Shukaku and we'll end with the 9-tailed Kurama. That way I got you till the end of the video. Shukaku is probably the tailed beast we know the second or the third most about of all the tailed beasts out there. That's because he played a heavy part in the beginning of OG Naruto with the introduction of Gaara as his Jinchuriki.
Lowe's knows your spring projects are adding up, so we're keeping prices
Yeah,
down.
yeah, Lowe's. Get
And
the
while
fuck
there
out of
tends to be a popular theory that power in tailed beast scales with how many tails they have, that isn't necessarily true, which means that Shukaku isn't our weakest entry on this list, at least from what we've seen. While it is true that Kurama is stronger than all of the other tailed beasts combined, we know this because Itachi said that if Kurama was sealed in the Ghetto statue anything but last, the Ghetto statue would destroy itself. Hiyuki says in the manga, while he is fighting with Kurama, that strength is not determined by the number of tails, which leads me to believe that 1 through 8 are maybe strength relative to tails, but at the end of the day, it's probably more about your abilities and how they apply to certain situations. But let's get back to Shukaku. Shukaku is a tanuki, which is a raccoon dog, sort of, and was placed in a temple in a desert by Hagoromo's disciples in order to protect that desert area. This area later became the Land of Wind. He was then captured by a group of disciples.
Yeah, Shukaku is probably the most unique tailed beast, I'm not gonna lie, because the motherfucker, like, literally, like, I kid you not, like, he's the only Jinchuriki to not have like a V2 transformation, like where it's all red, dark aura, chakra and shit, and you name it, blah blah. Like, instead, his V2 transformation is like just a bunch of sand all over his body. He's like a little fat freaking bear, basically, you know, or whatever the fuck he said, you know. Like Shukaku's actually really cool and unique. Like, he's really interesting, and even the one tail, like it's one tail, like V1 cloak, right? That's not even the same as all the other tail beasts. Instead, it's fucking like a sand transformation. It's like partial, you know, like Shukaku's like really cool, bro. Like, I always thought that was unique and interesting, but then all the other tail beasts are like exactly the same. You know what I mean? Like they got the V1 cloak, then the V2 cloak, and then they have their full transformation, you know? So, but it's always been really interesting to me how Shukaku is like the only exception.
That brought him to the Hidden Sand Village and tried to use his presence in the Hidden Sand as a leveraging point against Hashirama in the first ever Kage summit. Rather than cooperate with the other Kage, the first Kaze Kage actually tried to use the fact that they had Shukaku as a bargaining point to bring his village more wealth. This didn't work. He got assassinated for being an asshole, and the first ever Jinchuriki for Shukaku was chosen, a priest named Bunpuko. And then they just let Bunpuko walk around, right, and live a normal life? Nope. They sealed Shukaku and Banpuku in a giant tea kettle, which was under constant guard, and they were never allowed out. And as time went
Crazy.
on,
That's
the
so
village
fucked up,
hidden
dude.
in the sand began to resent Shukaku and the priest who they thought Shukaku had corrupted into an evil being. But Banpuku, being a priest, held no ill will for either Shukaku or the residents of the hidden sand. Instead, over that lifetime of being trapped together, Banpuku and Shukaku came closer and actually became friends. So much so that Shukaku
crazy
actually
words. Hell no.
had a permanent memory ingrained into his kind of being when Banpuku said one day he would be released in order to teach the world acceptance in heart. Banpuku got old, they yanked Shukaku out of him, he died, and then they put Shukaku in another Jinchuriki. This Jinchuriki, we don't know their name, but we do know that the abilities that this Jinchuriki got by having Shukaku as a kind of just tailed beast inspired the third Kazekage to learn his iron sand fighting technique. This is most likely because of the second Kazekage's research into Jinchurikis and ability to recreate the jutsus that they kind of get by becoming Jinchurikis, aka magnet release. A magnet release that allowed the Jinchuriki of Shukaku to control things like gold dust or sand or iron. And it's actually this magnet release that Shukaku imparts to Gaara, and we learn this in Gaara Heat and Gaara's light novel, that allows Gaara to control sand, not the magnetic release that he inherited from the Kazekage family that allowed Rasa, his father, to control gold dust.
We
learned
I'm gonna go back
Shukaku
to that.
as a kind of just tailed beast inspired the third Kazekage to learn his when Banpuku said one day he would be released in order to teach the world acceptance in heart. Banpuku got old, they yanked Shukaku out of him, he died, and then they put Shukaku in another Jinchuriki. This Jinchuriki, we don't know their name, but we do know that the abilities that this Jinchuriki got by having Shukaku as a kind of just tailed beast inspired the third Kazekage to learn his iron sand fighting technique. This is most likely because of the second Kazekage's research into Jinchurikis and ability to recreate the jutsus that they kind of get by becoming Jinchurikis, aka magnet release. A magnet release that allowed the Jinchuriki of Shukaku to control things like gold dust or sand or iron. And it's actually this magnet release that Shukaku imparts to Gaara, and we learn this in Gaara Heat and Gaara's light novel, that allows Gaara to control sand, not the magnetic release that he inherited from the Kazekage family that allowed Rasa, his father, to
Yep. So basically, Shukaku is the reason why Gaara could combine those chakra natures and use magnet release and all that stuff, whatever, blah blah. It wasn't actually because of his father, of him getting it genetically to inherit. You know what I mean? So fun fact. But yeah, he's right about that.
Control gold dust. We learned that the Kazekage's magnet release is only able to increase the density of Gaara's sand. Well, it's the blessing of Shukaku that allows Gaara to control sand even after Shukaku has been pulled out of Gaara in the Akatsuki arc. But sand and magnet manipulation was only one of Shukaku's many abilities. It was one of his most prominent ones and one that was central to him, but he had a lot of others. Shukaku was able to take over his Jinchuriki's mind when they fall asleep, which leads them to have insomnia and kind of become like evil people. Gaara for Naruto slaps some love into him.
But nah, I can't do it, bro. I just can't do it.
Also obviously can do a tailed beast bomb. I mean, every single tailed beast can. But Shukaku's entire body is also sand, which means that attacks that would be detrimental or fatal to other tailed beasts, like when Gamabunta cut off his arm, do nothing to him. And remember that magnet release I said that Gaara had that allows him to increase the
fucking cracked. He's that's what makes him really interesting and unique. Bro, his defense, his sand defense is so strong. He blocked Madara's fucking Susanoo sword, dude. Sage mode Madara Susanoo sword alive. It was nothing, dude. That's fucking crazy, you know?
Density of his sand. Well, Shukaku can do that with his entire body. He can increase the hardness of his sand to such a degree that it blocked a Senjutsu boosted Susanoo sword. He's also very talented in Fuin Jutsu, being able to accomplish things like desert layered Imperial Funeral Seal that can seal entire Susanoos.
Now streaming on Hulu.
I love you! Shukaku is cracked.
What are you doing letting us in a place that's nice?
You know Gaara's Grand Sand Mausoleum sealing jutsu? Yeah, it's kind of based off Shukaku's. On top of that, he's very talented in Earth, obviously, and Wind chakra releases, being able to fire high velocity wind bullets that can level entire forests. And you know all the blue markings on Shukaku's body? Those are curse markings, which is why when Naruto used his Rasen Shuriken magnet release style and hit Madara with it, he was able to bind him. Shukaku can do the same thing by leeching his sand onto you and getting the curse marks onto you to act as a binding. But I've been blabbering about Shukaku for too long. It's because we know so much about him, which brings us to our next entry on this list, Matatabi. Matatabi, like Shukaku and every other tailed beast, was sent to a specific area in order to protect it. Matatabi being sent to a cane break area. A cane break is a very dense kind of...
Matatabi is also very unique in one sense too. Like her Biju transformation is like a weird blue chakra aura, you know what I mean? And that's what it kind of is. While everything else is the same as all the other tail beasts, but like her full transformation is actually very unique though. So yeah, the two tails and one tail, they're just unique, dude. It's just so weird.
Swamp grass. So essentially Matatabi was sent to a swamp. Matatabi, like Shukaku, began to have rumors spreading about them, with the people who lived near it saying that it was once a human that turned into a living ghost.
Bruh.
We don't know as much about Matatabi as we do about Shukaku. Essentially, the next thing that we know happens with Matatabi is Hashirama catches it and then sells it to the Land of Lightning. And Matatabi stayed in the Land of Lightning for so long that in the cavern behind the Fall of Truth, where the Jinchuriki of the Land of Lightning train with their tailed beasts in order to become closer connected, there's a mural of both Matatabi and Gyuki, the Eight Tails. And it was in this cavern that Matatabi's only known Jinchuriki, Yugito Nin, who had Matatabi sealed inside of her when she was 2 years old, began a grueling training session in order for them to become closer. Matatabi is also the polar opposite of Shukaku in terms of personality. Shukaku is said to be childish, churlish, impatient, mean, while Matatabi was shown to be incredibly polite and respectful. In appearance, Matatabi is drawn to look like a kasha, a Japanese folklore kind of tale about a burning chariot that would collect the souls of those
hell
who
was
did
that
evil
damn
deeds.
thing, bro?
Mix that with a bakineko, which is also a Japanese folklore item about a spiritual two-tailed cat. In terms of abilities, Matatabi could create tailed beast bombs, obviously, and very proficiently use fire release in order to make fireballs, which wouldn't have been hard. It's literally on fire. You could have guessed that. On top of that, being a cat makes Matatabi one of the faster and more agile tailed beasts, even though they are as big as all the other tailed beasts. And since we're talking about the other tailed beast, that brings us to our next entry, the Three Tails Isobu. Hagoromo sent Isobu to an area in a temple that was protecting a large misty lake. And I'll have you take a guess at what that later became. The Land of Water's Hidden Mist Village. Isobu was then caught by Hashirama and sold to the Hidden Mist Village alongside Seiken, the Seven Tails. Nope, I lied. Seiken is the Six Tails. Seiken is a slug. It shouldn't have tails in the first place. Isobu has probably had it as about as rough as any tailed beast, which probably explains Isobu's demeanor, which is very timid and held back. Isobu tends to get spoken over in tailed beast meeting and is very afraid of people. This is probably because of what Isobu had to deal with as a tailed beast for Jinchuriki. His first known Jinchuriki is Rin, Kakashi and Obito's squad mate. But Isobu didn't end up with Rin through the conventional means, right? Because Isobu was with the Hidden Mist Village, if we're not mistaken. So how did Rin, a Hidden Leaf shinobi, end up with Isobu? Well, essentially, the Hidden Mist was being puppeteered by Madara for years, to the fact where they went so far as to abduct Rin, put Isobu in her, and then send her back to the Leaf. They were hoping that this would work as a Trojan horse and Rin would rampage in the Hidden Leaf and destroy it entirely. But Rin knew this is what they wanted to do. So Rin had Kakashi kill her. And it was at this moment that both Obito and Kakashi awoke their Monkey Kill Sharingans. After Rin's death, essentially Isobu also dies. But what happens if a Jinchuriki dies with a tailed beast inside of him is that the tailed beast chakras just kind of reincarnates them somewhere else. This takes time because all of the chakra has to find each other and then recreate the tailed beast, because a tailed beast is just that, chakra. It was at this point that Yagura took Isobu into himself, Yagura being the fourth Mizukage, and over time Yagura became a perfect Jinchuriki for Isobu, which was not good because he was under Obito's Genjutsu, which made him a blood crazy insane person. You don't want the dude who's getting puppeteered by one of the most evil people in the show to be even stronger. What's cool about Isobu though is he probably has the most diverse panel of abilities out of any of the tailed beasts. Isobu is able to summon and control coral that can grow up and bind people. On top of this, Isobu is the fastest swimmer of all the tailed beasts, which makes sense because he's technically the only aquatic one. He can also produce a hallucinogenic mist that can bring up his enemies' deepest and darkest insecurities and make them have to face them, basically debilitating his enemies. On top of that, Isobu can roll himself up into a ball and much like the Akamichi spike boulder jutsu, can begin rolling at people at high speeds and using the protrusions on his shell in order to enact massive amounts of violence. This can be done because his skin is incredibly hard, making him basically invulnerable to all offensive attacks. That being said, his one weak spot is his eyes, which he can't harden. Because of this, it's actually a fun fact that he keeps one of his eyes closed at all moments. On top of that, if Isobu eats something, it's shown that in his stomach there is millions of tiny Isobus that will attack it, presumably to help with digestion. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
And
no, that shit is creepy as fuck. I forgot about that. It was during the filler arc. Hell no, bro. Fuck that shit.
Lastly, Isobu is capable of space-time ninjutsu. You know, the thing that allows Kaguya to shift between dimensions? Yeah, Isobu can do that. Isobu can open a portal to a different dimension where he can hide his presence, and then can open another portal whenever he wants to return wherever he chooses it to be.
I didn't know that.
Obviously, he's got crazy affinity for water style. You know who didn't have affinity for water style, though? Our next entry on the list, Son Goku, the Four Tails. Now, Son Goku is an interesting case because he was sent to a scraggly, rocky area that later became the land of Earth. But he actually moved to an area called the Water Screen Cave, where he became the King of Monkeys. And if you don't know what this is a reference to, well, one, Dragon Ball, but two, Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong is a Chinese mythological character who is the king of the monkeys. He's a demigod that's capable to jump literally from edge of the universe to edge of the universe in the blink of an eye. He's insanely powerful. So Goku is based off him, and the Four Tails is based off Goku. The next time we see Son Goku is when he's captured by Hashirama and given to the Hidden Stone in his whole peace agreement. And the only known Jinchuriki of Son Goku is Roshi, which is another reference to Dragon Ball. Fun fact, Roshi means turtle though, so it should have been Isobu. Son Goku is probably the most prideful of all the tailed beasts. He bragged about his lineage and hated humans because they enslaved and beat him his entire life. I think you would be the same way. But he has an immense amount of love in his heart for the Sage of Six Paths and Naruto because Naruto reminds him of Hagoromo. He also has a high amount of respect for the other tailed beasts. He believes apes like himself are actually smarter than humans, and as a massive ape, you can see the similarity between him and then Goku and or Vegeta when they're in massive ape form. In terms of abilities, Son Goku actually has some very interesting one, the most interesting being lava release, which is the combination of earth and fire chakra natures to make a Keke Genkai.
Yeah.
Spring into savings this
Earth and
moving
fire,
season with
baby.
Pods.
Lava
Save up
style.
to 25% now on moving and
Lava release is exactly what it sounds like, especially he can shoot out lava out of his mouth. But his lesser known abilities is that he is the most proficient in taijutsu amongst all the tailed beasts, and also physically the strongest, being able to pick up Gyuki, one of the larger of the tailed beasts, and throw him with ease. He can also, using his lava release, create entire new volcanoes, and while this is technically never seen in the storyline, he can shoot green flames out of his mouth. But since we're talking about tailed beasts who had their own specific Keke Genkai and got sent to the Hidden Stone, that brings us to our next installment, Kukyo, the Five Tails. Kukyo was sent to protect a dense forest area by Hagoromo that actually never became one of the 5 great ninja villages' land. So Kukyo actually lived in moderate isolation the majority of its life, until, you know, Hashirama came knocking and sold Kukyo to the Hidden Stone. Kukyo's upbringing of isolation
Bro, the
actually
stone got
plays
so many
into its
fucking tail beasts, bro. Like, what the fuck? And then the Lightning Nation got 8 tails and 2 tails. Stone gets fucking, like, how many goddamn fucking tail beasts do these fucking nations get? Like, the Leaf only gets to 9 tails, yet they're all getting multiple? Like, what the fuck?
Personality a lot. Kukyo is incredibly reserved, barely ever talking, and is also very old-fashioned when it talks. But it also has a ton of pride as a tailed beast. Once it found out it had been taken control of by Toby, it was very ashamed. So ashamed that it actually went back to the forest that it was sent to protect by Hagoromo to live the rest of its life in isolation. In fact, this desire for seclusion is so powerful that when Naruto calls a meeting to get all of the tailed beasts to come talk to him about the incoming threat of Orochimaru trying to collect them, Kukyo is one of the 3 tailed beasts that doesn't show up. In terms of will, Kukyo is the strongest of all the tailed beasts because it was the only tailed beast to be able to break out of Toby's kind of control and try to attack the masked man. On top of this, the Five Tails used the horns on its head.
That's a little bit of a ratty ass argument. I don't know about that, bro, because yeah, she breaks out of like Obito's control for a moment, but you could just say that could have been implied and happened to any of the tail beasts. You know, it was a moment where Obito, like, the guy was struggling, bro. He's over here using a Rinnegan the entire time, spamming Kamui, controlling fucking literally fucking Edo Tenseis, which as Jinjurikis with chakra rods in them, and then controlling them in like their tail beast states. It's a lot of fucking chakra he's going through, and then basically after doing all that, he's kind of getting gassed out and loses control for a moment, and it breaks out in a way, and then he immediately subdues it. Like, what? Like, how the fuck does that work, bro? Like, oh, this tail beast broke out, therefore it has to be the strongest. No, the Nine Tails is the fucking strongest. What kind of crack are you on, bro? Even the Eight Tails fucking shitted on the bitch, bro. The Eight Tails, like, punched the fuck out of that damn tail beast. He's like, I'm not getting hit by your horn shit again, you know? Like, what is that, bro? Like, do you take a music request? Yeah, I do.
Its ability to run fast and hard to ram its enemies into submission. We can see this when the Five Tails rams Gyuki and knocks him back a fair distance and also injures him. But most importantly, the Five Tails uses Boyo release, which is a combination.
That's another thing too. The only reason why he even hit Eight Tails as well is because he was off guard. Like, he was literally off guard. Can you play my song? Yeah, what's the song? I could play it after this video, but yeah, I'll be down to do it.
Of fire and water chakra natures. And Kukyo used this in a way we've actually never seen anybody use Boyo release. I guess we've only ever seen Mai, the 5th Mizukage, use Boyo release outside of the Five Tails, but that's neither here nor there. Kukyo used Boyo release to increase the temperature of its chakra to a boiling point. And if any person was a perfect Jinchuriki with the Five Tails, they would also be able to do this. We didn't realize how important this was until the events of Boruto episode 217 happened. Because increasing the temperature of your chakra to a boiling point is what Baryon mode does. Because increasing the temperature of your chakra to a boiling point increases your physical abilities many times over. However, all we saw from Han and the Five Tails was an ability to use steam-based ninjutsu that was actually able to literally burn Naruto in his Jin Cloak form.
Yeah, not only that, what's really strong about Boyo release is the fact that when Naruto uses it, he literally blitzes Kage. Like, that's how fucking strong he gets. He gets like a blitz tier above her when he does it. You know, like, Boyo release is no fucking joke, bro. That shit's really fucking strong. Now, I don't know about the whole Baryon mode Naruto being the same exact thing. I don't know about all that. I'm pretty sure that process is way completely different. Sure, there could be similarities, but you get what I'm saying. I'm not gonna lie, that NCHAMMER's face is fucking hilarious right there.
I think it's the biggest slight ever because it's literally how Baryon mode works. So Han in the Five Tails should have been insanely powerful. And on top of that, it didn't permanently expend the chakra that they were clashing together in order to get this boiling point. It was literally a Baryon mode they could do every day. Justice for Han. Get it trending. But you know what tailed beast isn't underappreciated? Seiken, the Six Tails. Seiken was sent to a temple to protect a humid, cavernous area by Hagoromo, which makes a lot of sense when you look at Seiken. Because Seiken is a giant slug, like we didn't have enough of those already with Lady Katsuyo, and Seiken's only known Jinchuriki is Utakata, probably because nobody wanted Seiken. We don't know a whole lot about Seiken's personality. We know he speaks in a high-pitched voice. We know that he's a bit reserved. When we saw him take over Utakata's body in order to kill his master, which is a whole other story, it instantly retreated back into him after his life had been preserved, not trying to continue having control of Utakata. He seemed
Right now, you can get a free foot long.
That is true. The man is spitting. And Subway, you can go fuck yourself, bitch. I did not ask you to interrupt our video.
Seems to be friendlier and kinder than other more self-centered tailed beasts. Oh, and he's got legs. As a slug. Outside of that, Seiken can use tailed beast bombs. He can actually make corrosive liquid and gas that will literally destroy and degrade anything it comes in contact with. He's very durable, being able to be thrown a great distance by Kurama with little to no damage. And he can emit an adhesive, sticky goo from his mouth that traps people who get caught in it. It's gross. His whole existence is gross. Oh, and in the anime, he can use soap bubble ninjutsu, which essentially allows him to shoot bubbles that can either pop and hurt people or trap people in them. And it now has created.
I always thought that was his ability though, not the tail beast. I don't know about that, NCHAMMER. I think you might be tripping on that.
One of the most annoying weapons in Shinobi Strikers, but that's also or another video. Let's move on to a tail beast who matters. The Seven Tails, Chomei, who should go to Shino. How does he not have it? Chomei is a massive beetle who doesn't really have tails.
Imagine if Shino had the fucking 7 tails, dude. You know how fucking insane that would be, bro? His bugs would be cracked, bro. Oh my god. I should probably make a video on that. How strong would Shino be if he was the 7th tail Jinchuriki? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, or what if Shino had the 7th tail? You know, or the 7th tail Jinchuriki? Some shit like that. That should be a really cool video.
He's got like 7 wings, but he is a beetle, so he was sent to a closed forest with a lot of moss by Hagoromo in order to protect it. And Chomei is actually pretty dope because Chomei is the only tailed beast who doesn't go to one of the 5 great ninja villages.
Yep.
Probably because Hashirama couldn't fly, so he couldn't get to him because he's technically the only tailed beast that can fly. So if he doesn't go to one of the 5 great ninja villages, where does he go? Does he get to live in the wild? No, he goes to the village hidden in the waterfalls. And in the anime, at least, it's explained that they were able to catch him because the village hidden in the waterfalls, even though it's not a great village, was incredibly good at making talented shinobi. Talented shinobi, like Chomei's only known Jinchuriki, Fu. Chomei is one of the happier-go-lucky tailed beasts, and that's because he thinks he's lucky because he has 7 tails. Because of this, he actually says the word lucky in conversation a lot, which kind of reflects his personality. I know I said he had 7 wings. He technically has 6, and then he has 1 tail coming out the middle. He's drawn to look like a rhinoceros beetle. As for its abilities, it's able to flap its wings and create a powder that blinds everybody around it. And like I said earlier, it can fly. On top of this, it can create a cocoon that stops it from having its chakra removed from chakra stealing techniques.
Oh, wow.
Think of literally the best ninja Naruto Storm 4, Jirobo's techniques that he uses to steal chakra. Essentially, Chomei can nullify that. And since we're talking about having your chakra stolen, there's somebody out there who knows a whole lot about that. That'd be Killer B, the Jinchuriki of the 8 tails, Gyuki. A man has had chakra stolen like 8 separate times. Gyuki was sent to protect an area that was covered in tall mountains by Hagoromo that later
got stolen by Momoshiki, Kasame, the fucking Akatsuki, bro.
Of lightning. That's why him and Matatabe had such a long lineage in that area. Gyuki has had an absolutely storied career in the land of lightning. One, a shinobi from the village hidden in the clouds, once tried to emulate the Gold and Silver brothers, who ate their way out of Kurama and therefore gained his chakra and tried to eat one of Gyuki's meat tentacles. This killed him. Come on, bro. The Gold and Silver brothers were descendants of Hagoromo. Chill out.
You're not that guy.
On top of this, Gyuki is probably the hardest tailed beast to be a Jinchuriki of. We know this because Blue Bee, the Jinchuriki of Gyuki before Killer Bee, and Blue Bee's uncle and father all attempted to be the Jinchuriki of Gyuki, and none of them could control him. So frequently, Gyuki would just begin raging. He would just break out of the Jinchuriki and destroy large parts of the city. But luckily, the village hidden in the clouds had the 3rd Raikage, who is one of the most badass people in the entirety of Naruto. I will be doing a video about him one day. I love him. Every time that Gyuki would start raging in full-tailed beast form, the 3rd Raikage would simply fight him to a standstill where both of them collapsed from exhaustion at the end. 1v1'd a tailed beast. The 8 tails, to be specific.
Crazy.
In fact, it was kind of a rite of passage to become a Raikage to have to fight Gyuki because I'm
gonna be honest, like that is probably one of the most insane feats. To be able to go blow for blow against the 8 tails is just insane. Not even Madara and Hashirama were able to replicate shit like that. Like they had to use like their jutsus and shit, like Wood Style or Susanoo or Genjutsu. You know what I mean? You know, or Hashirama was ceiling suppression Wood Style, you know? Like, the Raikages are fucking monsters, dude.
4th Raikage had to cut off one of Gyuki's horns in a battle against him once Blue Bee couldn't control him any longer. And in an anime-only kind of see-through-the-veil situation, We see that it wasn't actually because Bluebeard couldn't get a control over Gyuki. It was because Orochimaru was feeding him genjutsu pills that made Gyuki kind of rampage. But that's non-manga canon, so I'm not going to give that much credence. It wasn't until Killer Bee at the age of 5 came around and had Gyuki sealed into him with the iron armor seal that Gyuki was finally defeated and made into a compatible Jinchuriki relationship.
Yep.
This took Killer Bee years of training at the Falls of Truth in order to eventually befriend Gyuki. Gyuki is a tough and serious individual who was battle hardened from years and years of fighting Raikages and Jinchurikis.
Yeah.
He has a hate for humans because he has now been sealed in 4 different Jinchuriki, the most of any tailed beast we know about. It wasn't until Killer Bee was actually able to defeat him in a 1v1 and befriend him that his attitude began to change, but his serious side never faded. But Gyuki doesn't only dislike humans. He also dislikes Kurama because Kurama asserts that he is the strongest of the tailed beasts. And he's so cocky about it that Gyuki actually yells at him in the manga and tells him that power isn't dictated by tails. But both Kisame and Kurama admit that Gyuki is probably the 2nd strongest of all the tailed beasts. This is certified by the fact that he was able to fight 2 separate tailed beasts at once during the war arc. This point is even further backed up by the fact that he was able to physically restrain Kurama and stop a tailed beast bomb. He is also one of the fastest tailed beasts, which is insane considering his size, being able to block Amaterasu with his fist.
Yeah.
On top of this, obviously he can create a tailed beast bomb, but he is the only tailed beast who is able to supercharge his tailed beast bomb, and this is so powerful it was able to push the 10 tails tailed beast bomb back into its own mouth. And because he is an octopus, he is also able to create ink that he can use to blind his enemies or create ink clones. These ink clones can explode on enemies and seal them, a lot like Sai's abilities. And since we're talking about Ninja of the Leaf, that brings us to our last entry on the list, Kurama the Ninetales. Kurama comes in 2nd for most known Jinchuriki. We know 3 of Kurama's Jinchuriki, those being Mito Uzumaki, Kushina Uzumaki, and Naruto Uzumaki. It's a family lineage thing. Or maybe the Uzumakis were systematically murdered by Hashirama in order to ensure that they would be the perfect Jinchurikis for the Leaf for the rest of their lives. But what would I know? There's only a video about that right about here. Kurama was sent to a temple to protect an area that
I don't know about all that, bro. Hashirama and the Uchiha clan, they, from what I know, I could be wrong, to be fair, I have to do homework. But from what I know, what I remember, they teamed up to fight against the clan because they were so fucking powerful, and they basically put them on the verge of extinction and then forced them to join Konoha, basically. So that's all I really know, but I don't know about all that.
Foresty and mountainous that later became the Land of Fire. Kurama gained a reputation as a natural disaster that can destroy entire landscapes of where the darkest of human desires go to fester. Kurama essentially just didn't want to get messed with, and people just kept messing with him.
Yep.
The first of which were the Gold and Silver brothers, who were sent by the village hidden in the
They got slammed, by the way. They were like, Ninetales, wow, let's fight it. And they charge right at it, you know what I mean? And they get immediately eaten and slammed. You know, but yet, they fucking off-guarded Tobirama and stealth attacked them. They don't fucking fight like that, bro, you know? But anyways.
To capture Kurama so they could use him, and they got eaten. But they survived in his stomach and ate his flesh for 2 weeks in order to survive. Kurama got pissed of the acid reflux, regurgitated him, and then boom, you have 2 pseudo Ninetales Jinchuriki. After that, the next person to mess with Kurama was Madara after he defected from Konoha.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned as we attempt to commune with the devil.
What the hell is that?
Please be warned, anyone with young children in the room. Go to commercial! What you're about to see. You okay, Jack? Is profoundly disturbing and shocking.
You get out there, Mr. Midnight. You knock him dead.
Essentially, when soul searching, stumbled upon Kurama, used the Sharingan to control it, put a Susanoo on it, attacked Hashirama. Hashirama punched it off him with a bunch of wood, and then that fight was so massive that it literally created the Valley of the End. But now there's a problem. Now Hashirama knows that the Uchiha can control the living natural disaster that walks around in the area that he calls his own, and decides, well, we should probably put that away. So he seals it inside of Mito Uzumaki, his wife. And that's where he stayed for like 7 70 years. I kid you not, 2 great wars happened, the first and the second, and Mito was just chilling in a back room with Kurama. He almost comes out once when Mito is giving birth to her and Hashirama's son, whose name we don't know. But outside of that, they're just chilling. As she approaches the end of her life, though, she identifies another Uzumaki clan member in the leaf who's overflowing.
You know what's crazy about that, though? The fact that Hashirama had a kid and everything, we never know anything about him. Like, we like nothing. Like what was the motherfucker just fodder? You know what I mean? Or like, did his son die? Like, well, what happened, bro? like you're the son of Hashirama, bro. How do you not become relevant? You know?
This is important because Kurama has so much hate in him, he needs somebody who is overflowing with love to counteract that. So she chooses Kushina, and then Kushina gets Kurama sealed inside of her as a relatively young girl. And guess what? The childbirth thing comes back to rear its ugly head when Kushina has a child, Naruto. Hiruzen tries to make special arrangements to allow Kushina to have a relatively pain-free and not raging Nine-Tails-esque birth, but Toby, aka Obito, aka the Masked Man, pulls up and kind of messes with those plans a little bit. Obito kidnaps Kushina, pulls Kurama outside of her, puts him under his genjutsu, makes him attack the leaf. Minato gets there in time to save Kushina's life, and then doesn't save Kushina's life when him and her become a ring for Kurama. Minato seals half of Kurama inside of him using the Death Reaper seal, tattoo right there, and puts the other half into Naruto, his newborn. Unfortunately, though, he did split Kurama into 2 attitudes, essentially. He split the bad side of Kurama and the good side of Kurama. And you know what he did? He took the good side to the afterlife and left his baby with the bad side. And with this good side that he was now technically fighting in limbo forever, because that's how the Death Reaper seal works, he became a perfect Jinchuriki, because apparently in the middle of their endless fight, they decided to make up. Like Minato, who also got Sage Mode slapped onto him, just needed another power-up. Kurama himself, though, was very disapproved of by the rest of the tailed beast because he was snarky and snide about the fact that having the most tails made him the most powerful of all of his brethren. But he was also very smart, creating a long-term plan to sneak Naruto little bites of his chakra in order to weaken the seal on his stomach. And if you had been slapped into a genjutsu by Madara, then thrown into Mito, then thrown into Kushina, then pulled out of Kushina, then slapped immediately into a genjutsu by Obito, only to be sealed in a baby, you would be a bit upset, and you'd be scheming your escape as well.
Facts.
But his connection with Naruto obviously changes his personality, so much so that when the second half of him comes back with the reincarnation of Minato, he actually decides to put that other half back into Naruto. And obviously he also chooses to literally give his life by the use of Baryon mode in Boruto, signifying that he's gone full circle in his hate of humans. In terms of his appearance, Kurama is supposed to be a
You know what's crazy about though? How like Minato like just casually fucking gives Naruto the full 9 tails, not, you know what I mean, or half, just by just touching him and, you know, transferring the chakra. I mean, he doesn't do a Reaper death or anything. He just casually just like, oh, here you go. You know what I mean? He's sealing, you know, whatever. Like, that's fucking crazy, bro. And it's like, it's kind of hilarious because it's like, fucking, I don't know, bro. I really don't know. Like, the only thing I could think of is like, the 9 tails was outside of Kushina's body, so maybe that's why. You know what I mean? Like, I guess he can only do that technique, like, if it's within his body, you know what I mean? Or if it's within someone else's body. Because when he did the sealing, the Reaper Death Seal, he did that when Kurama was already outside. You know what I mean? I would have to go back to all that, because I think there was some type of dialogue where they could have sealed Kurama without using the Reaper Death, but I could be wrong on that. I don't remember.
Kitsune, which is a 9-tailed fox that protects shrines in Japan. It is very commonly used in anime tropes everywhere because it's a very popular folklore lore in Japan. Technically, for being real,
Pokemon too.
Pokemon did it first.
Yep.
Like I alluded to earlier, though, Kurama is obviously the strongest of all the tailed beasts. Itachi kind of said it, but also with only half of his power, he was able to defeat 5 tailed beasts simultaneously. And that's kind of the craziest bit, is that for the majority of Naruto as a show, we only see half of Kurama's power, because the other half, like I said, is boxing Minato for eternity. But
it's your anniversary today. You could have arrived empty-handed, but you exist in a world where it's easy.
once we saw that chakra come together and Naruto get the full access of Kurama's chakra, we saw one of the most insane things in the entirety of the show. Kurama is able to manifest himself outside of Naruto so they can fight side by side. And I already talked about Baryon mode earlier, but essentially it works like nuclear fission. allowing Kurama to consume his own chakra in order to increase his reflexes, strength, and speed. On top of this, because they are expending their own life force, if you connect a hit while in baryon mode, it expends the life force of the person you hit because all chakra is connected. On top of all of this, Kurama is actually an incredibly powerful sensor type, well, I guess just sensor type, being able to sense chakra and negative emotions from great distances.
Yep.
I mean, at full power, Kurama blasted Toneri's stone golem through the moon and into orbit. And in the anime, he's shown to be able to use wind and fire chakra releases, which he uses to create twisters and breathe fire. I mean, this thing can literally flatten mountains and create tsunamis with the swipe of a tail. It did not need to be able to make twisters. And that's it. Oh wait, no, it's not. There's one more. We kind of covered the 10 tails in the beginning, but we'll do a little in-depth dive here. The 10 tails is a seed for a divine tree, and it has no sentient thought. We know this because Kurama said it can't be sensed through negative emotions or through chakra, which means it has no will of its own. The 10 tails is said to be the progenitor of all things on earth. It is said to have made the oceans, to have raised the mountains, to have split the sky. Its power is literally immeasurable. When Naruto tried to assess its chakra, its senjutsu chakra, specifically using Sage Mode, he said there was no actual limit. I mean, this thing deflected a tailed beast bomb from Gyuki, who has the strongest tailed beast bomb of all of the tailed beasts with one finger. I mean, if this thing gets all of its
whoa. He just said 8 Tails has the strongest tail beast bomb. Are you 6 Path 2? You include that as well? You know what I mean? Like even the full 9 Tails or half the 9 Tails. No, that's definitely not the case. Like it's blatantly emphasized the 9 Tails was the strongest. But I don't know about all that one, Chief.
Chakra, a roar from it can set off natural disasters across an entire continent. On top of this, it can extend its roots into the ground and grab people in order to absorb all of their chakra. It also has wood release Kekkei Genkai. You can ask Neji about that one. And oh yeah, when the bud grows on top of its head, it can literally release infinite Tsukiyomi, which just puts the entire planet under a limitless genjutsu while it slowly sucks out your life force. And that is the actual end. This video took me 4 hours to film. I am so tired. So just do me a favor and just like it. That's the wrong way. Like it, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell because I am out here busting my ass, so I need your help. I'm not saying that Kurama would have had a lot less problems if he didn't mature, but
Now, no offense, bro, but this man said he's busting that, bro. All you're doing is sitting in a chair talking about Naruto. What you on about? Like, yeah, I mean, it could probably be, like, mentally draining in a sense, but come on, bro. Like, that's not busting your ass. Like, that's a dream job, bro. Like, shut your bitch ass up. But, hey, it was a good video. It was a good video. What's it called? I liked it. It was pretty good. He actually did a pretty good job. I didn't really have that many problems. He did say about, like, 2 or 3 claims that were, like, fucking insane, though. But other than that, it was pretty great. Really good video. You know, you guys let me know what you think of everything in general when it comes to all the tail beasts and whatnot. If you guys have anything more to add, you know, comment down below. Make sure to like the video as well. Subscribe for more content. Subscribe to the channel, especially if you want more Naruto reactions along the way. And who you think's the strongest tail beast? Let me know as well. Batman out. Peace.